Hi everyone, my name's Phil Tricky and I run a studio at home called Tricky Sound. I've been running studios for many years on and off. Started back in the 80s in the days of 2-inch tape and analog desks that have been running a serious home studio for the last few years, looking to transition from what my mum would call the day job into making a full-time living out of music. Now, I posted on some of my Facebook sites the fact that I've invested in DTouch for Cubase along with a multi-touch monitor, and a few people were quite interested in how I was getting on with that, how I set it up, whether I found it any use or not. And I've only literally just managed to get it configured this weekend. So I thought I'd have a go at doing a video just to show you my experience so far. And let you know what I think of it. Unfortunately, what that's meant is I've also had to learn how to put a video together because I've not done one before. So I've also this weekend set up OBS to produce this video, and struggled immensely with trying to get the sound and the audio out of Cubase to come into OBS alongside the microphone and any browsers that I might have running. But I also managed to crack that as well, so we could perhaps make that subject of another video if people are interested in being able to do that. Anyway, so for the moment, I'll just explain my setup. I've got a home studio. I have a lot of external synthesizers and outboard equipment, but I work on Cubase and have done since it was Pro 24, and I have 3 monitors in front of me. I've got 2 widescreen LG monitors, and then I've got the new G Handspree HT273 multi-touch monitor. So hopefully I should be able to click through. So that's my top LG monitor, so you can see OBS running there and my Cubase mixer. I've got on my second LG monitor my project window, and then on the new touch screen I've got DTouch running, and I've got the DTouch floating mixer along with the channel settings and the DTouch panels themselves. I'll use the mouse just so that you can see, but obviously I can touch on this screen here. This is the DTouch monitor. So these are the DTouch panels, and I haven't done much to configure those. I've done a little bit to configure those, but I haven't done a great deal to configure those yet. I'm still learning about DTouch. So if I just explain what I've managed to set up. So at the moment, I've set up 2 workspaces. Now, the way DTouch works is that you can see here I've got Workspace 1, Mixer 1, and the way it works is it links the DTouch workspace, so however I've got these panels and whatever buttons I've got on them laid out, it links them with the Cubase workspace. If I just switch to show you on monitor 2, so on here you can see the different workspaces. Here we've got a project window, well, workspace I've called project window, one I've called main project 1. So I've got 2 different Cubase workspaces. And those set up workspaces across the 3 monitors in terms of the different Cubase windows. Now, DTouch, if I go back to the touch screen, so that's the touch screen. DTouch will enable you to link up to, I think it's 10 different workspaces where you can link Cubase workspaces to the DTouch workspaces. At the moment, I've just set up 2. So I've got Mixer 1, and that has the floating DTouch mixer on monitor 1. It has my project workspace on monitor 2, and then it has the Cubase mixer, and I've got OBS on there as well, so I can just see what I'm doing on OBS because I'm not familiar with it, still learning. So I've got my Cubase mixer on monitor 3. So if I just go back to the multi-touch mixer, then if I switch to Workspace 2, which I've called Project 1, the reason I've called it Project 1 is it's got my project window on my touch screen, and then it's got the DTouch floating mixer on 2, and then on 3 I've got the Cubase mixer. On 2 as well, you can see I've got my instrument panel and my my inserts and my editor channel settings panel. So just go back to the multi-touch. So here, this one's a bit temperamental, fit to project, but hopefully it'll work. I'll use, as I say, I use the mouse so you can see what I would be clicking with my finger, but the touch does work very well. So that's fit to project, so I can see on my project window everything in the project all in one space, and then I can actually drag on, zoom all tracks up and down and left and right. So it's very easy to adjust the workspace quite quickly, and obviously using your finger to do that. So that's quite a nice feature when I've got my project workspace down here. So I can quite quickly just switch between the two different workspaces, and I think I probably end up, it's fairly quick switching between the workspaces. I suspect I'll end up using Workspace 1 the most, because one of the advantages of the multi-touch monitor, of course, is multi-touch. So now you can't see my fingers, but you can see that works. They're pretty responsive. I'm just grabbing with 3 fingers those faders. But also, if I were to go into the edit, again, just using my fingers, it's flicking between channels, and you can see it's changing the channel settings. But also, if I choose, what have I got? Yeah, so if I go into the instrument, oh, there we go. So a bit of a delay in that coming up. So you can see that I can actually just call up the instrument that I'm using. If we go to base 1, it's Avenger. So I suspect I will use this setup where I've got quick access to the mixer, but also quick access to the virtual instruments, which again, just I'm using my finger now. You can see there on the cutoff moving. That's really responsive and very easy to use. So some of the controls are just very hands-on by working like this. So the Workspaces seems to work quite well. One of the, as I say, I haven't got into the macros yet, but I suspect there are all sorts of things that are a bit laborious in Cubase that I do regularly, that I can use macros for in DTouch. One of the things that I've always had a bit of a problem with is where if I just switch to my project view, so just bring my project down here, and again I'll use my fingers to see if it works. Yes, so zooming in, you can see I haven't quite got used to the touch sensitivity yet, but so if I just go fit to project on here, you can see I've got a number of tracks down here. I'll just open that up a little bit. So this is a bit messy because I'm just starting on a project at the moment, so I'm just trying to get some ideas together. I normally start with a template, but in this case you can see I've got a bit of a messy Cubase project space. Now, one of the things I find difficult, or it takes up time, it's not difficult, it's just annoying, and that is I tend to have lots of instruments, external and internal, and in order to be able to hear them, at the moment I'm playing I've got a Roland V-Synth GT I'm using as my controller keyboard. Now, I don't know what that's playing quickly without scrolling through to see what actually has the monitor set, and it's Hallian, you can see here. And it might be that could be hidden in a folder within a subfolder within another folder. So finding what is being monitored and what isn't can be difficult. And you might have lots of things clicked. So it's now playing several instruments, and sometimes I might want to have several instruments playing through the monitor, hear what they sound like together. But now all I want to hear is Alien, or let's say the bass. If I go onto here, it's playing bass, but it's playing all the other monitored tracks as well. And in Cubase, other than setting up one global folder at the top to enable you to access the monitor button for all tracks, there's no way of quickly switching all the monitor buttons off. But there is in DTouch, that's one of the options. So here I've got it as one of my presets, clear all monitors. So if I click on that, it switches them all off. You can see all of those have gone off. So now all I need to do is whichever track I'm going to use. So I was on my bass, I can just switch it on. Now I've just got the bass. So it's little things like that that can be massive time savers. So I think as I find things like that that might be useful, I'll post them on a little video clip, or put them on the Facebook groups to let people know, because I do think there's some huge potential time savers here. It's worth mentioning as well that one of the other things that I had a real difficulty with was working out how to get the audio from Cubase to run through OBS. Now, alongside the microphone. And I understand by a lot of Googling this weekend that is notoriously difficult. So I ended up with a solution using a thing called Voicemeeter, which some of you will have come across. However, it caused a bigger problem. It worked, and I managed to get the output from Voicemeeter to feed into OBS. But the problem was that it meant that let's just switch to get the right monitor. So here, in my studio setup, drag this up so you can see it. In my studio setup, what it required was me to select Voicemeeter as my VST audio system. And then in Voicemeeter, you then route that through to I've got 3 24 IO mochus that I use. You then route it through to the mochu. However, of course, the problem with that, let's just go into Studio Connections, was that on my external instruments, you can see here, it disconnected them all because it no longer had all the mochu IOs to enable me to use all my external instruments. So I couldn't use Voicemeeter. So I had to find another way of doing it, which I did. I've managed to find a little plugin that I can broadcast from the main master output, and I can broadcast that into OBS. So if anybody's interested in how I did that, very happy to do another little video just showing how I managed to set that up. But that was quite challenging, and as a result I've spent most of the weekend actually just trying to set up OBS and audio so that I can literally push a play button and you can hear the output from Cubase, because I thought that might be quite useful for future videos. So hopefully that's useful. I'll continue the journey with DTouch and the multi-touch monitor and let you know how I get on with it, and any tricks and tips that I come across that might be useful. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you'd like to learn anything more or know anything more that I can experiment with, very happy to do that. And thank you for watching my very first video. Hopefully I'll see you on YouTube and on various Facebook groups soon.